How hard is it to search the entire world for 5 teenagers with attitude? You just do this. Hi, I'm Steven Zrita, and welcome to episode 1 of Power Rangers Essentials. What is Power Rangers Essentials? Well, if you're a Power Rangers fan like me, you might know that there are over 700 episodes of the show now, and you might be wanting to kind of revisit it for whatever reason. Either you're trying to relive some nostalgia from when you were a kid, or you actually just kept up with the show all these years and you want to start back over from the top. Well, with Power Rangers Essentials, I'm going to show you exactly which episodes to watch, so you don't have to watch all 700. You can just watch the best and most important ones. So we're going to start, of course, with episode 1, Day of the Dumpster, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. The episode starts right away with 2 astronauts discovering a space dumpster on a planetoid that's passing close by to the Earth. They open up the space dumpster by accident, and Rita and her henchmen burst out. This first scene is using footage from a Japanese show called Kyoryu Sentai Zyuranger. They would import this footage from Japan, add some American actors for when the characters aren't fighting, and then boom, you got a kids TV show for like no money at all. So for those of you who noticed, Rita's mouth does not match with what she's saying. It's because this footage comes from Japan.
So you think you can stop me, do you?
Speaking of Rita, she immediately vows once she comes out of the dumpster to destroy the Earth, but I thought the wording was kind of weird here. She doesn't say, "Ah, Zordon, my nemesis is there," or "Ah, Earth, I've wanted to destroy you for so long." She says,
"Don't leave! You'll miss my coming out party! That's when I destroy the nearest planet!"
It's kind of weird. It doesn't seem like, based on the line, that she has much of a stake on what planet it is. If it was Mars, we'd, as far as I know, since there's no Martians in Power Rangers, be just fine because there's no one on there. So it happens to be Earth, so I guess we're in trouble, and we cut to the Juice Bar. The Juice Bar is a kind of a home that the kids are going to spend a lot of their lives at for the next 5 years. Speaking of characters, it's time to meet the first iconic team of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. First off, we have Trini, the soon-to-be Yellow Ranger, who is the graceful and agile member of the group. She's very level, cool-minded. Next is Zach, the soon-to-be Black Ranger, who is the hip one with all the dance moves, and I don't have dance moves, so I'm going to let Zach do it for me. Then after him is Kimberly, the soon-to-be Pink Ranger, who is an amazing gymnast and many boys' first crush, including mine. I have her picture right there. I got to meet her once, and my mind was blown. Next up is Jason, the Red Ranger, my first hero. Oh my gosh, he's the reason red is my favorite color. And he is an extremely awesome martial artist, natural leader of the group, which is foreshadowed very well throughout the episode as how his leadership skills are going to come into development. Characters like Jason and a couple of the other Rangers who are martial artists actually inspired me to join martial arts a couple years later, and it's been something I've been doing ever since. So thank you, Power Rangers. Last but definitely not least, we have Billy. He's going to be the Blue Ranger. And I want to take a minute to stop and talk about Billy. He is the insecure nerd, which is awesome because of all these characters, he's the one who actually has the best character arc. He's the one who changes the most, probably because he stays with the team the longest. Billy was actually the one I could relate to the most because growing up, I was an insecure nerd and then got over my insecurities just like Billy did. And to become a pretty cool guy, I'd say. I mean, Billy's probably cooler. Then we meet Bulk and Skull, who we're also going to see for the next 5 or 6 years, who are some of the funniest characters of all time. Okay, so we're done meeting the characters. Rita is attacking in the form of an earthquake, and Zordon teleports the teenagers to his command center. And this is where we meet Zordon and Alpha 5. So he's talking to them about Rita and how they're going to be Power Rangers, and he gives them the Power Morpher. And the Power Morpher was my favorite toy as a kid, hands down. So the kids don't believe all this stuff and don't think they're really supposed to be Power Rangers, so they leave.
Well, now that didn't go very well, did it?
So do you recognize these rocks? You might have seen them before. Probably in the most famous fight scene ever from, of course, Star Trek, the original series. So as the kids are leaving, Rita attacks them with her Putty Patrol, and the Putty Patrol is a team of soldiers made out of clay that are really easy to make, but also really easy to defeat. So they're kind of just karate fodder. This first time around, the Rangers have a tough time beating them. So when they are down and beat, they, for the first time, morph into the Power Rangers! All right, now that they're Power Rangers, we get to the first ever Power Ranger fight. And to be honest with you, it's pretty standard. Nothing too special happens. They just fight a couple more putties. The other episodes have better fights, but this is the first one, so I'm not gonna fault them for that. So once the Rangers are done with these putties, Rita makes her monster grow by throwing her magic wand into the ground, which makes Goldar building size, and this scene is where my love of kaiju and Godzilla comes from, because when the monsters get big, the Rangers call on their dinosaurs. This set might be my favorite set of Zords, just because dinosaurs are amazing. I am extremely attached to the characters who piloted them, and they just look so cool. I'm not a fan of the CGI Zords from later seasons. These are actual models and mechanical things that people had to build, and they're so articulate. And I don't get why this show from 1993 has Zords that look better than a lot of the Zords from now. But oh my gosh, they're amazing. And the Megazord is so iconic because, I mean, it's like very functional. It wouldn't function any other way without any Zord. If you took off one, it would fall over, or it wouldn't have arms, or it wouldn't connect. Except for the pterodactyl, it's arguable that you don't need the pterodactyl as the chest shield. But again, I'm not going to fault it because it was a really iconic and memorable part of my childhood. Another reason that the Zords were awesome in this season is because the sequence of calling them and forming them into the Megazord was actually kind of cut like a music video. It was very rhythmic, with Ron Wasserman's amazing music for this show.
Yes! All right! Log on! Let's do it! Going up?
You just get pumped up every time listening to it, and I might have it on my workout playlist. So Goldar escapes before they can destroy him, and I thought it was kind of weird that with all the flashiness of the show and the teleporting sequences that the American animators put into it, that he just disappears in a jump cut like this. So their first fight is over, the Rangers are back in the command center, Zordon's reviewing things with them, reassuring them that they are up to this, and he gives them the 3 rules, one of which explains why they can't just call on the Zords and squash a monster. So for all of you guys who complain and say, why don't they just get the Zords and squash them, it's explained here.
Never escalate a battle unless Rita forces you.
And then of course we have the classic freeze frame to credits as they jump in the air.
Power Rangers!
How was it back then, 1993? Little Steven, 3-year-old Steven's watching the show. What did he think? He thought this was amazing. There's so much energy in this show. It's cut fast. You don't have much time for your attention to wander off, because before you know it, things are happening. Power Rangers are happening. Bright colors. Again, I was very young. Bright colors flashing all across the screen. A lot of punches and kicks. And then, of course, the Dinozords and, oh my god, lightning, everything. It was amazing to watch. And the characters themselves were actually really memorable. We still haven't had a team as distinct as this one then. I mean, I was explaining it to you in 1 or 2 words, like Zach is the hip one, Billy is the nerdy one, Kimberly is the girly one. I mean, it's kind of weird to boil them down into 1 word. Maybe you might argue that they're not as fleshed out. Since all these characters were very distinct and you could boil them down really quickly, you could relate to them very easily, I found. Like I said, I was like Billy, nerdy one. That's me. And of course, as all of you kids who grew up in the 90s know, this show had plenty of poses and kicks and punches for you to reenact as you were running around, and a lot of things to yell as you were playing Power Rangers after the show was over, because I know you did it. I did it. I have home video of me doing it.
Oh no, a monster! Let's do it! Morphin time! Transsaurus! Pydactyl!
What about now, 2014? How's this episode? It's actually pretty simple, especially when you compare it to many other episodes of Power Rangers and many other season openers. And it's pretty cheesy, but that was one of the hallmarks of these first couple seasons. And parts of it do reek of the 90s, one in particular.
Not.
Circuit overload, circuit overload.
But the juice bar scene in this episode is the best one, because this is where we're going to meet the characters that we're all going to fall in love with for years and years to come. And when people think of Power Rangers, odds are they think of these 5 characters. So you might know that I love lessons and morals. I eat that stuff up. So for Power Rangers Essentials, I kind of want to talk about the morals of all these episodes, because a lot of them had a good lesson for kids to learn. What is the lesson here? Back then, the lesson was, okay, if I have attitude, I can be a Power Ranger. I can do that. 21 years later, I know I can't be a Power Ranger no matter how many times I do this, but I do know that you have potential. This first episode briefly talks about how everybody has potential. Look at Billy. Look at how insecure he is. I mean, when he is messing up in his first karate class, that was me growing up. That was me forgetting moves. Yet he can be a Power Ranger because he has the potential. When you work at something, you become much better and you can do great things. If you set your mind to it, anything is possible. It's a quote from Tommy. So odds are someone else, it might not be Zordon, but someone else believes in you, and you should too. And you're going to go on to do great things. Okay guys, what did you think of this first episode? I asked you in the announcement for this series, and here's what you guys said. The first episode was awesome, and it introduced the idea of Power Rangers very quickly. Yes, it did. This episode doesn't waste any time. It gets right into it. First episode came out one day after my 4th birthday. I remember watching it and thinking, oh my gosh, this is awesome. Explosions and fighting and shiny suits, I'm hooked. So was I, pretty much for the same reasons back then. Explosions and shiny suits, what's not to love? All right, so that's it. The next episode of Power Rangers Essentials comes out next week, 1 week from today, and it's going to cover episode 2 of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, which is called High Five. You can watch it on DVD or Netflix or however. Let me know what you thought of that episode. Was High Five a good second episode? Was there more substance to it than this first one? What did you think of the monsters the Rangers fight in the next episode? Let me know all that in the comments below. You can find me at Steven Zurita on Twitter. You can talk to Hyperdrive Pictures at Hyperdrive Pics on Twitter. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Vine. We're all over the place. So follow us there, let us know what you thought. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss the next episode of Power Rangers Essentials. Again, that's a week from today. So I will see you in 7 days, and punch it!